Alright guys, welcome back to part 7 videos of this OA3 swapped Porsche 944. Alright, so back to where we left off. You can see we finished up the shifter cables in there. You have to take those pieces out and paint them black, just remembered. Now we have to work on the back half, I guess. So under here now, so we have a nicely mounted OA3. This thing has been in here for about a week now, so that's actually pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Right, so these are our 2 shifter cables, almost perfectly in position. Gonna have to modify them, but definitely there wouldn't be a problem getting these to actuate the transmission. So on the neutral side to side shake motion, whatever you want to call that, we have this 3/8 Heim joint. You can see this thing is like screwed all the way on here. Cannot make it go anymore, so we're gonna have to take this off, chop off the threads just enough so it can get to mounting here. It's like almost there. So honestly, once I chop off the threads, probably like 1/2 inch off the threads, and it can screw on, I'll have adjustability to go in and out. So the next side here, like the, I guess, 3rd, 4th movement, when you click it into gear, this bolt is pretty far from this shifter cable. So we're gonna have to, I guess, extend it outwards that way and then bring it forward. And I guess the same thing can apply. We can chop these threads off to make it shorter as well, just to get these things to fit. I'm confident we can get this transmission to shift in this video, and hopefully we can get it adjusted just right so we can utilize everything that shifter has to handle. Alright guys, so after probably about 2 hours of work, this is where we're at right now, trying to figure out this shifter situation. So we have the neutral side to side switch situated. You can see we chopped this thing down, and now this thing is perfect. When I move the shifter, it moves just enough to put it into the gear and over into first. But you can see when I push this down, that's our problem right here. So I'm gonna need to find a way to move this 3rd, 4th, you know, up and down cable movement. I need to find a way to move this cable out of the way, maybe by carving that where it sits down lower, or I don't know. But you can see we have it all just rigged up for now, just to test it. You see there's a bunch of, I don't know if you can see, but used a bunch of spacers and whatnot on a long bolt to try and get it into the right position. So this is definitely not the final piece. So I guess next thing on the agenda is to, I guess, take all this stuff off, that little shifter plate right there, take that off, weld a longer tab onto it, because it wasn't giving me enough leverage to, you know, put it into gear. So I guess once I make that piece longer and straight, because it's also at an angle right now, I don't know how well you guys are seeing this, but you can see that plate right there with the black nut, that is crooked. So that also throws off my shifting, that's not straight. So yeah, I'm gonna have to take this off, get that piece welded on completely straight, and then continue back with this process. Hopefully we can figure something out. Also, I think instead of drilling it all the way through with the 3/8 bolt, I should have tapped it so that way I don't have to have this nut on the bottom, because it is a Heim joint at the end of the day. It's rotatable. So that's what I'm doing. I'm probably gonna remake this whole piece and make it drill and tappable so I can place this where it needs to be. Alright guys, next day here, and we have this beautiful piece. I don't know if it's beautiful, but it's definitely a better piece than what it was from before. You can see we made the piece higher, this little bracket higher, to give more space so this bracket under it can go. And this is not going to be the final bracket, it's just a mock-up for now, guys. But in other news, we have our adapters, and you can see it's already dirty because I decided to throw one of the axles on it just to make sure everything lines up. Inner holes line up, just got to test the outer holes now, but we'll get to that soon. Let's go back and try and get this transmission to shift. Alright guys, 1 hour later, and we have this whole thing optimized. Hopefully this should be it. If not, let's go to a different plan, but I guess we'll see, right? Alright guys, not so much of a fail, but we're getting there. We're getting there. You see the amount of pressure I gotta put. So one thing I noticed is that this body isn't that strong. If you see me like that, this thing wants to flex every chance. It's literally digging into the tunnel. So next thing, trying to bend this back. Next thing on the agenda, I guess we're gonna have to plate this whole thing top and bottom. But overall, it's very, very notchy. I can get into second, but it's a little fight, so I gotta figure out, maybe I need to adjust the throw on the side to side throw. But first it's like a battle, so I have to see definitely what's going on. But we're in the right direction. We're in the right direction, so I'm gonna have to get some more throw out of this shifter cable. Alright guys, I adjusted it a little bit and I'm actually able to get all gears. If you take a look, that black line, I'll show you where first is. So we're just going to move it over just a little bit, and that's first. That's crazy, isn't that? And that's second. The shifter has a lot of slop and a lot of play, but it's not all 100% in the body of the car. It's literally, look, that's fifth. We literally moved it that much. It's not much. All the slop is, I feel it's in that U-joint design. So let's get down there and try and explain my process. So this U-joint design may be good and all, but literally as it's shifting, it's going up and down. So that's the only flaw in this U-joint design. Yes, it needs to have play, because when you actually, you know, move it, let me see, when you move it side to side, the cable needs to follow with it, so it actually needs to move this way. That's not the problem. It's just that when you put pressure on this cable, it's literally pushing here, then pushing here, and then pulling it. So it's not like a full straight motion. There is flex in it. Not the flex that we want, but we have the flex that we need side to side, just not up and down. So to minimize that, I already put in the order for a shorter cable. This one is a 60-inch cable. I put in the order for a 54-inch cable, so 6 inches smaller. Gonna have to modify the whole thing to make it work again, so that's not going to be that hard, but hopefully I should be able to mount it straight directly to the arm and minus all of this stuff here, all this stuff that's going on here. So that's honestly, you know, not bad, but sadly it takes like 2 weeks to get this shifter cable made, so definitely gonna have to be in the next video. So to plate the shifter, we're going to have to drop the tranny, sadly, because where the shifter is, it didn't really give me an option to mount it from the top and bottom, kind of just straight from the bottom into the shifter. Literally the bolts are going from the bottom of the car into the shifter. So because of that, we have to move the torque tube. When I make the plate, I'll try and design it where the plate bolts to the plate instead of bolting to the chassis, to the tunnel of the car, and that would give me more freedom and able to, you know, unbolt it from the top of the car. But yeah, the tranny definitely has to come out first. So I guess since we already put in the order for the shifter cables, we can just start taking this stuff apart. And while the tranny's out, we can test the axles as well. So let's get the tranny jack and get this thing out again. Alright, the adapter plates came out very nicely. A little snug, but the snugger the better. So, you can see we have a little bit of clearance issues. We're just going to chop that up and probably reinforce this plate. But other than that, these are good. little triangle plate, and that's gonna give us some structure, some more structure, give us some strength, because this thing is starting to bend. So vice versa for the other side. You see that side. That's really about it for this video, guys. In the next video, we're gonna be working on making the plate for the shifter, and we're gonna work on the spline shaft. So we have to chop this in half and make this 2.5 inches longer. That way the torque tube can connect to this transmission nicely. But yeah, honestly, that's about that. Did a lot of stuff in this video, and the next one we should be finished, honestly, other than painting. Not really much to do. Just gotta make these pieces look nice and paint them up and, you know, get everything situated. Still waiting for the shifter cable we put on order. That shouldn't be here for like another week or so. So that's about it for all the updates for this. So don't forget to head on over to unsystematic.co, get all your unsystematic needs situated. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Never forget, never stop modifying.